Good evening, and welcome to another classical conversation presented by the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. I'm George Marriner Maull, the artistic director of the Discovery Orchestra, and your host for this evening's NJPAC Classical Conversation. The Discovery Orchestra teaches the listening skills that help people really connect with classical music. And if you're already connected, which I assume most of you are, I hope that our time spent together will deepen that connection. The Discovery Orchestra reaches audiences through our electronic media programs, our Discovery Orchestra chat videos on YouTube, our Emmy-nominated Discovery concerts distributed by American Public Television, and our radio show, Inside Music, produced by WWFM 89.1, the classical network in Princeton, and heard worldwide on the web. Our public television shows may also be streamed free of charge on Amazon.com by Prime members. And 3 of them can also be viewed on the NJPAC website at njpac.org on the NJPAC in Your Living Room page under the Learn Something tab. We hope you'll visit the Discovery Orchestra's website as well at discoveryorchestra.org, and while there, check out our Learn at Home page. I'm so pleased to be with you in these classical conversations presented by the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. If you would like to ask any questions this evening, we'll take time to do that before the playthrough of the complete third movement of the Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 3. Just push the Q&A button on the bottom of your Zoom screen and type in your questions as they occur to you, and I'll answer them as I can at that point later this evening. We'll start tonight with a partial playthrough of the third movement, beginning at the recapitulation, as performed by pianist Yuja Wang with the Vienna Philharmonic conducted by Andres Orozco Estrada. Sergei Rachmaninoff wrote this concerto in 1909 for himself to perform on his first concert tour of the United States. He completed it on September 23rd in Dresden, and the premiere took place in New York City on November 28th, 1909, with the New York Symphony Society, with Walter Damrosch conducting in the New Theater. A second performance took place just a little later on January 10th, 1910, with Gustav Mahler conducting at Carnegie Hall. As a performing artist and composer, Rachmaninoff had an intense preoccupation with what he referred to as the point. He believed that every movement of every musical composition had a moment of greatest emotional intensity. He spoke about this, and he noted that the point need not come at the end of a movement. It could come somewhere within. He said it needn't be the loudest moment in the movement, could be a soft one. As a composer, he was keenly aware of writing these moments into his own compositions. And as a performing pianist, he took great pains to make sure that he delivered these moments to his listeners. There's a story of a recital he gave on tour in Russia. After the performance, friends ran backstage to greet him and praise him for his artistry, only to find him incredibly distraught, even despondent, because he, by his own account, had failed to deliver the point effectively in the final movement he'd played. Well, I don't think we will need to quibble about when the point occurs in this movement, but in order to fully appreciate it, we need to become familiar with the path taken to arrive there. If you've downloaded the listening guide from the NJPAC website and printed it out, you can refer to it at this time. But if you haven't, don't worry. It'll be up on screen as we explore the music and discover musical events that occur there. Look at number 1 in the listening guide and listen to theme 1A. I describe theme 1A as martial in character because it reminds me of bugle calls in battle. Beam, ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-ba-ba-bum. And since you're home and no one else can hear you, sing the essence of theme 1A along with me. Bum, ba-bum, ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. Good. Now, we also see at number 1 in the listening guide the word sequence. And just to remind you, a sequence is a repetition that changes altitude, either up or down. I'm going to let the music go on a bit more. Tell me, is it an ascending or descending sequence? I could hear some of you saying it was a descending sequence. Yes, a 2-step descending sequence to be precise. Bum, ba bum, ba 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 bum, bum, ba bum, ba 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 bum. Now at number 1, it says that there are many sequences. So let's listen to all of number 1 and be listening for sequence. Some of them, both ascending and descending, have many steps. Now look at number 2 in the listening guide, where we find theme 1B, fistfuls of chords in both hands. Listen to the power of theme 1B. But your mission, should you wish to accept it, is to raise your eyebrows when you detect that theme 1A, bum, ba bum, ba 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 bum, has returned. At number 3 in the listening guide, we have theme 2. Listen to it once. So you can tell that this theme also has a chordal texture at this point for the pianist, and it has an up and back contour dynamically as well. Bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum, bum, like that. Listen to it once more. Now, listen to all of the music in number 3 in the listening guide. I want you to count the number of times theme 2 occurs. The first one is, of course, on the house. Did you come up with 4 occurrences? If so, or if not, listen again. We'll verify them on the screen for you. Some of you probably noticed that he treated it sequentially as well. Now, at number 4 in the listening guide, Rachmaninoff alters theme 2 into this beautiful lyrical version of itself and then expands it a bit. Have a listen to the music at number 4. At number 5 in the guide, it says that the tempo or speed of the music takes off suddenly, faster. And after full orchestra joins loudly, the tempo slows down again. We'll start the music near the end of number 4, where we have that wonderful swell, that crescendo diminuendo. And then raise your hand when we get to number 6, where the low brass and woodwinds announce the arrival of the development. My apologies for leaving you harmonically hanging before that cadence resolved, but we have come to the conclusion of the exposition, the first large section of a sonata form recipe for writing a movement of music. We've met the two principal themes in the exposition. In the development, composers change those themes in ways that are recognizable, hopefully, but also slightly perhaps disconcerting. So let's enter into the development at number 7. Believe it or not, at number 7, we have two incredibly inventive and delicate, but fiendishly difficult variations for the solo piano on theme 1A, bum beam, ba-da-bum, that theme, remember, from number 1. Listen to the music at number 7. The graphics will indicate when one variation ends and the second one begins. I know that the relationship to theme 1A might seem tenuous, but you do hear that beam, ba-bum, ba-bum, every once in a while it sort of creeps out. Now, look at number 8. I'd like you to fill in the blanks there. We're looking for which instrumental timbres belong there. The first, of course, was the French horns. 2, to be exact, actually joined by one bassoon, which is difficult to detect in that mix. We hear the horn texture, the horn sound or timbre more, followed by, of course, the timpani, not difficult to notice. Listen to this again. Now listen to number 8 in its entirety. This is really quite beautiful. Raise your eyebrows when the woodwinds take over for the piano. recognize that at number 9, Rachmaninoff is in fact paraphrasing theme 1 of the first movement of his third concerto, we need to know what theme 1 of the first movement sounds like. It's introduced by the piano soloist immediately, as soon as the first movement of this concerto opens. It sounds like this. Now, as I said, this is not going to be an exact quote of the first theme of movement 1, but a paraphrase played by the violas and cellos. Rachmaninoff is taking a glance backward to see where he's come from on this emotional journey, something we all need to do from time to time. Have a listen. Let's continue listening at number 9 in the listening guide. This is yet another look backward at movement 1. This is such a beautiful melody. It'll make you want to listen to the first movement. What I'd like you to do is fill in the blanks again. We're looking to identify instrumental timbres. The answers will pop up so that you can immediately verify your answer. All right, we're going to listen from number 10 with its long crescendo through the beginning of number 12, when the movement recapitulates. That is, it will sound somewhat like the beginning of the movement. Fill in the blank. Which instruments play theme 1A this time when we get to the recapitulation? Okay, let's listen to the music at number 14 and fill in the blanks there. Again, the answers will be immediately verified on screen. That is exactly where I hoped we would be when we last left off with our sound. So I know that was a bit fast, but we have to keep you on your toes. To make the recapitulation technically kosher, we can't just have a return of theme one, beam, bada-bum, bada-bum, bada-bum. We also have to have a return of theme two, right? So we've already filled in the blank at number 15. We know that what happened there. The piano soloist takes off like a bat out of hell here on theme two in a rather volcanic version of it, and the woodwinds and brass comment. Have a listen to the music at number 15 in the listening guide. Now, at number 16, Rachmaninoff gives us a slightly more lyrical version of theme two, but it will maintain the kind of punchy up-tempo feeling that he had just established at number 15. So have a listen, and while you're at it, listen for and enjoy the cellos in the background playing pizzicatos, plucking their strings with their fingers. And now the moment has arrived. We're about to start the coda, or extra ending. It is here that Rachmaninoff delivers the point, the moment of greatest emotional intensity in this movement. Sometimes, as I said earlier, the point arrives at the very, very end of the movement, or sometimes it can be found in the middle somewhere. In this case, Rachmaninoff gives it to us just before the end of the movement. Let's see how he delivers the point. At number 17, we start with growls or snarls from the strings and the piano that sound like this. In virtually every concerto, certain movements have what I call the edge of the cliff moment. At this point in a concerto movement, musically, it's as if the entire orchestra and the soloist rush to the edge of a cliff, and then the soloist jumps without a parachute by him or herself and plays what is often an incredibly virtuosic solo called a solo cadenza. So here now is the run up to the edge of the cliff and the jump moment in this movement. Many cadenzas are longer than that one, including those cadenzas that are in the first and second movements. But now we've arrived at the point. Rachmaninoff will make use of the briefest references to theme 1A, ba-da-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum, but will use theme 2 to really drive the point home. Da, 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 da. That one. He will use repetition, crescendo, getting louder, ascending sequence, repetitions that keep climbing higher and higher, accelerando, getting faster, as well as slowing down as he reaches the pinnacle of emotion. But as we listen to the point, I want you not to listen to the melody being wailed by 52 members of the string section, the 30 violins, 12 violas, and 10 cellos. You, of course, won't be able to help but do that, but at the climax, listen for the French horn and trumpets. Their timbres and their counter melodies will be what turns on your tear ducts. If I had the Discovery Orchestra here in my home studio, I would have them play this passage with and without the French horns and trumpets. But for now, we just have our recording. So get out your Kleenex and fasten your seatbelts. Having made the point at number 19, we get one more short final swell, after which Rachmaninoff realized that there was nothing more to do but to end this movement as quickly as possible, and, as was his wont occasionally, to sign the work with his musical signature, the rhythm dum-da-da-da. Say that with me, dum-da-da-da, Rachmaninoff. So listen now to number 20 in the guide. Before we listen to Yuja Wang and the Vienna Philharmonic under Andres Orozco Estrada play the movement again, let me remind you that at the Discovery Orchestra, we believe the more we perceive, the more we receive, the more musical information we notice as we listen, the more emotional pleasure we can receive from listening. Now, if you do have any questions, I'm looking right now at my screen. I'm just trying to pull up my questions. Yes, we have questions. How old was Rachmaninoff when he wrote this piece? 1908. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember. Probably 30 something, I'm going to say. When did SR and his professional piano playing, when did Sergei Rachmaninoff end his playing? Okay, I think he kept it up, at least from what my mother told me, pretty close to the end when he died, I think, of lung cancer, but I could be wrong. I remember that he was a very heavy smoker. Susan Davis asks, have you ever had one of those days? Yeah. Edward Mann, was there any difference in Rachmaninoff's creativity after his therapy with Dr. Dahl versus prior? Absolutely. Um, he he um, he had reached a total mental block because of the criticism of his first symphony. Um, when he had that work performed in Russia, it went down really badly with the critics, and he went into this total funk. So so that everyone understands who Edward Mann and I are speaking about, Dr. Dahl was a psychotherapist who practiced hypnotherapy. And to get Rachmaninoff out of this incredible funk, he kept telling him while he was under hypnosis, he would give him these hypnotic suggestions saying, you are a great composer. You are a great composer. You are going to write an incredibly wonderful piano concerto. Long story short, it worked. And he wrote Piano Concerto No. 2, which, as I mentioned earlier, became one of his most famous pieces, certainly the most popular of those recorded and performed by orchestras and soloists. Carol Simon asks, can we re-watch these recordings? There's so much here I'd like to see and hear again. I think you probably can. I think you can. Because I know that NJ Pack has made a recording of these, so we should talk to NJ Pack about letting you all know how you can do that. How's that sound? Okay, so it sounds like we're getting ready to listen again. I just want to remind you that I'll be back on Friday, April 9th, with the finale of Tchaikovsky's Symphony No. 4. And in the meantime, visit NJ Pack in your living room at njpack.org, click the Learn Something tab, and view 3 of the Discovery Orchestra's Emmy-nominated productions for American Public Television. And also, don't forget to visit the Discovery Orchestra at discoveryorchestra.org and our Learn at Home page. Now, here is Movement 3 of Sergei Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 3. Hi, I just wanted to quickly make amends for not being able to do math in my head quickly. I've never been able to do arithmetic in my head, unlike Joseph Hoffmann with his photographic memory. Rachmaninoff was 36 when he wrote this piano concerto. In any event, I will be back on Friday, April 9th with the finale of Tchaikovsky's Symphony No. 4 with another NJ Pack classical conversation. See you then.